Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist. I'm joined today with my hubby.
Okay.
And we are going to look at backgrounds. So what you're seeing on the screen now is where we left off last week. And because I'm a dork and thought I'd surprise you, which I don't know why, this is where we are now. And the reason I'm a dork, because this photo is in the thumbnail, so you already knew it. Hey Eve, Sheila, Greg, Teddy, Sharon, Rumi, Sheila. Did I get everybody?
Who's Rumi?
The one, Brent, the one in my chat right there that says hi all. Hi all. Alrighty. So I know I haven't finished the elephants. I did try to get further before the live. That way we had something more to look at. And if I angle it up, you can tell it's darker. But because of my lights, the angle of the wood, it looks lighter than it is, though it needs to go darker. Hi, Alani. So I need to figure out my background, how I'm going to do the grasses. So last time I popped up the original. Hey, Cindy.
Podge is here.
Hey, Podge. This is the original photo, obviously switched, and I pulled the background. I'm not wanting the trees. I think it's too much for what I'm doing. But I do want some of the grasses. But where I'm stuck is how I want to do these grasses. So what I've done is taken my own advice, which I don't normally do, and
That's true.
printed out my photo. It's bigger because I needed room. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my colored pencils that we use for the critiques and advice, and I'm going to try to figure out how I want this to look. I do know I want grass. We know that from the critique of my original elephants, and where I've burned in some of the legs, I already have negative space of the grass. But I don't think I want it to stay that way because I'm not sure people... I mean, it translates as, hey, there's grass, but I think I want a little bit more. So that's why I print it out, so we can figure it out. I know, I'm pretty sure I want the grass to kind of go at an angle, and I don't want it solid. And that's why I've got grass lines. I'm go ahead and put it here. And the reason I want it like this is so it keeps your eye in the photo. So that's what I'm looking for. I know I'm gonna have looking at the reference because of how the light. This photo I can tell was taken with the sun directly overhead. That's why so much of the areas are lit up on the elephant. What I can do, if I think about it, is I can change my lighting a little bit so it's either more based on how they're facing. I would say it would be more of I can have it as a morning sunrise so that the light is hitting in this direction. And since I've been pretty conservative on my burn, not going dark right away, I can darken some of these areas up, like along the trunk, but that means I have to pay attention to how the light is shining on the grass. So if the light's coming from this direction, areas that are closer to the feet are going to be darker. And these are things I need to plan for. That's why I'm going ahead and jumping ahead. Now the grass over here would be having the light come underneath. So this part would be lighter, but this part would be darker. And since I don't want all of this to be in grass, I need to figure out, do I want some of the further back to be a little blurry? That way it gives us the information that there's something there. Plus I could, in theory, with a lighter burn, kind of negative burn some grass like I did here. And that way it switches back and forth and makes it a little bit more interesting, I hope. Or, and then I'm just going to kind of fade it out so that it's almost kind of the bokeh effect where it just kind of slowly ends without going all the way to the edge. Kind of fades out. But then I need to figure out, because my horizon I've got placed right about here based on this. So I'm going to have to... So that's our horizon line. We'll put that in there. It's not going to be exact because I'm not measuring. So let's see here. If I just kind of fade it out even into the background.
You know, the great thing about a horizon line is that...
Oops, I'm on camera. Oops.
Is that it's an aesthetic, and it can be varied so much. There's no hard and fast rule where a horizon line should be.
Yeah.
You know, you can use the rule of thirds or whatever, but depending on where you're standing, the height of the terrain, the difference between you and your subject, the horizon line can be all over the place.
It can. It moves with you. So, let's see here. We've got grass in here. And see, I also need to pay attention to how dark I would want it, if at all, because I've already got some darks in here. And so let's see here. I kind of like the mix of some grass that are defined closer up, mixed with the negative.
I think that that's the best way to go, because it's more interesting, you know, because then you're dealing with it makes people's perceptions shift, because you're looking at grass, you know it's grass because it's defined, but then there's other spaces that aren't defined, but it's still grass, and that's a very cool idea and concept.
Well, but what I need to figure out is these back legs are further behind, because this elephant is our closest one. So if I'm doing the blend out here with a little bit of negative, kind of shaping it, what am I going to do here? And that's the reason I haven't put in the rest of these legs, is because I need to be able to leave space and pay attention to how far down I burn into the grass. And I figured we could work on that today. Let's see here. We've got a leg hiding back here, which is closer. We've got this one, and I'm actually...
Yeah. I can't wait to see when this is done, like the comparison between your first work and this work, because already it's a pretty
difference.
Stark contrast.
It is.
Yeah. And you're gonna find that when you work, like as you improve and evolve as an artist, that your work changes. And like I know everybody, you know, your work that you did a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago is going to be radically different from what you're doing right now. In fact, like I know a lot of artists will do what you're doing on a regular basis. They'll do like the same composition
over and over
again from time to time, just to like mark their progress, to see how far that they've evolved and changed. Like I've done that with the Night Watch series. Like, I haven't done one lately. Maybe I ought to, because I think that what I would produce now would be far different than the last one that I produced.
Alright, so I know. Let's see here, we got some grasses. I'm going to make these sporadic. I do need to pay attention to how... I don't want that line even in the background. The faded out grass.
Yeah.
So I need to watch that, because I don't want a pattern. But then we also, if I've decided the light's coming this way, we've also got shadows that are going to happen in the grass from our elephant. So I need to figure out how I'm going to incorporate, and I think having the shadow, and it's going to have to fade out, like where I'm going to do the edges. So, and it's probably not very dark on the screen.
I apologize for all my sniffing. I've got something going on with my sinuses.
Oh no, you didn't tell me you were still having issues. Alright.
I haven't eaten. Otherwise, it'd be far worse.
So if we've got the shading, that means the grass in the shadows will be darker. Let's see if it would be better if I did a fade or if I did actual. See, the more I can plan it out, the quicker it'll go. And I will feel less stuck. Because I have to admit, I'm feeling stuck on this one for the how I want the background to look. I wonder if I need to go with a darker pencil. Okay. So, but even in between here, I think I want some negative lighter, just so it's still interesting. But where I've burned dark already, and this side of the grass would be lighter than this side. I do it right. Means I'm going to bring down this foot. There we go. Bring that down a little bit and kind of spread the grass. They're in here.
April Gabriel is here.
Hi, April.
And Cian is here.
Hey, Cian.
And Cian says, yeah, didn't miss the live stream this time. She's so happy.
Oh, good. See, I can actually do a lighter negative burn here, and maybe a little darker, kind of spread out. Right, so I'm not putting this line in. I just need to know how far or where it is at. Okay, that side's looking pretty good. What do you guys think on this side? So I'm bringing this down. I'll have more of an angle going this way for my side. Now, underneath here is the legs. So I don't want to go too dark because those themselves are dark. There we go. And I can kind of spread out some of the darkness. So I decided it's down here. I know it's hard to see on this printout.
Cinerose says it looks great.
See, if you, no matter what you're stuck on, I really think if you print it out and just take whatever pencil you have, it doesn't have to even be colored pencil. I use the colored pencil because it's closer to the burn. Whatever you've got, and just kind of map out your thinking, you'll feel less stuck. You'll know what it looks like, in a way. You'll know what it looks like with your burning, and that way you won't feel as nervous jumping in and just doing it.
Yeah, you've already
you got a plan.
You've already gone through the motions at least part way, so you know how you're going to attack it better.
Let's see here. Bring some down a little bit, just so it doesn't look like a line. But I am having to do this so I know how I want the legs to look. Like in the first elephant, I pulled it down a little bit. Angle it. Alright. And then we're off on the other side. I don't necessarily have to keep that line of grass in. I don't think. We'll just kind of fade it off.
Yeah, you said something. Oh, Lana Gozard is here.
Hi, Lana.
You said something a little bit ago about like not making the grass a pattern, and that's
Do I have one?
No. That's an acquired skill, because as humans, like, you're gonna find that, like, if you're doing something like that, you'll be making grass, and it'll be like, if you do like, all right, grass, and then move, and it'll be like grass, and then you'll think that it's like random, but then as you start to look, your brain is organized that has influenced you, and you'll be doing patterns. And I realized this when I was doing star fields.
Yeah.
You think that like doing star backgrounds would be like super duper easy, but there's a lot of
let's see here.
Planning into making it look random, and there's different tricks and things that you can use, but it's always a looming shadow.
All right, there's the tail.
Not to do patterns, because when you do that, because a human brain, people are designed to, we pick up patterns, we see them, we look for them in life, and
they're comfortable
when they're there.
Safe.
I mean, we see them when they're even not there. Like, we can organize things visually, so the more random that you can make it, the more like nature it's going to look like. So
I just drew this tail in so I wouldn't lose it. Alright, and then yeah, I totally agree, and it's hard. So fade it off here.
Ted says, I never plan, because then words like premeditated start getting thrown around. Not like that, Ted. Yeah, there's my... April says, I think it looks wonderful. I've been learning so much from you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Alright, so my line.
And I will go let the seal out.
Off.
Where I got a dog, not a seal.
Alright, I'm trying to figure out visually how far I want it to go. Because that would change the horizon. Because we do have a horizon of trees here. So I didn't want. But if I go lighter and just kind of fade it up, even skipping around, because remember, things in the distance have a lot less detail, so I can skip around. And this would be kind of like putting in a blurry background. Alright. So, based on that, we got this would come down, and this would come down. Let's see here. Do I like that? This line is just to show me where I kind of want it to fade off here and not go all the way down. And kind of the same with this one. Oh, I get some in here. Kind of felt off there for a minute. And since the light is coming here, this face is going to be darker. Darken that up. This connection. Oh, I always mess up there. There's nothing in between these guys. It goes like that. Alright. This side would be darker. So see, you can critique your own work just with a printout and looking at it. Alright. So we got the light this way, so that means I need to darken. This side, like you already knew I needed to darken it, but now I can see how far. Let's see here. That can go even darker. And once I put this even more of this contrast in, these elephants hopefully will really stand out. So let's...
All right. Mischief managed.
Thank goodness. There you go. Alright. So I'm just talking about the light and
Let's see.
showing myself what I need to darken.
Oh, good. Chat's not talking about me.
Oh, I was focused. Sorry. Sorry, guys.
Let's see. Let me catch up on chat. Yep, faces and wood grain creating patterns, says Ted.
Alright. Right now I'm just showing myself where I need more darks.
Jake Pike says,
Hi, Jake.
Taking a picture of your work is a great idea.
Yep. I take every time I put my burner down for a session, I take a photo, and I have a file in my phone that is progression shots of that piece. That way I can flip through and quickly go back and forth so I can see. In fact, I can show you.
Ted says he's being good this week.
Aw.
I'm assuming that's
not fun. Alright, so on my phone.
Get off your phone. You're supposed to be doing live stream.
Alright, so I have a file just for elephants, and that way, hopefully, let's see here, oh, that's the same file. So we'll start there. I can just flip through quickly and see the progression, and when I do that, I can take that away. I can see, because it changes how my eyes are viewing the photo, I can see whether I like the contrast, so kind of like squinting at your piece, or I can go slower, watch how it builds up and go, okay, I've got too much of a line here that I need to fix so that it doesn't look like he's the ear and the body are going in the same direction completely. In fact, you can see it more right there. There's a bit of a pattern right here with this line in this part of the ear. So by taking the photo, I could see it better and then calm it down, which I actually still need to calm it down some more. So with the printout, I can make all my mistakes and be a little more bold. And then I see what I'm doing and go, okay, this is doable. I don't feel so overwhelmed. It gives me the idea of background. So pulling that up. Let's see here. This is all dark. There's no background there. And now I have somewhat of an idea for the background. Sometimes a piece just doesn't need a background. But I think for this one, especially after my first one, which their photo, I don't know if there may be people who haven't seen who didn't see the critique. I'll grab it. Because it'll get quicker.
Something that is true though, even though you might not need a background, but if you have a physical object that's not flying, like it's not a bird, then that object is
Needs to be grounded.
Usually going to need something to stand on.
Yeah.
You do have a couple questions.
Yes.
So Sinrose wants to know, her 6-year-old grandson wants to know how old you were when you started wood burning.
When I started wood burning, I was 33.
33.
Yep.
You can start earlier though.
Oh, absolutely. I started my nephew at 13.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Joshua. I sent him his first burner and his second burner at 13.
He's lucky.
I think it all depends on how much you listen to your parent as to how young.
Yeah, because you could get burned really quickly.
It's very important that mom or dad, or whoever is with you at the time, pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, because there's like fire and electricity. So.
Hence, drawing with fire.
Yep. Lana has a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you burn over colored pencils?
No, please don't. In fact, I saw this in my group, and somebody, and I had this same idea a couple of years ago, but then the more I thought about it and did more research and learned a bit more, I had thought about watercoloring a piece of paper first and then burning over it. But unfortunately, even if it's earth pigments, this can cause issues, whether it be toxicity or with your tip. And it's just so much better and safer to do your burning first completely. All of it completely. And then do any color you want to add. Okay, so if you missed the critique where 2 Tuesdays ago, this is my original elephants. These are what I did 13 years ago. My very first burning, I critiqued it, and there's a lot of things I needed to change.
I mean, damn. Right?
So that is why, unfortunately, I could not find this photo. I really wanted to find it. I spent hours looking at elephant photos, and the closest I could get is to the one we are working on now. It does have still 4 elephants, and it's got the different sizes of the elephants, but I know from this critique, I definitely needed some grass in this one, so that's why. But I don't want the whole board burned. I just don't feel it needs. I think the eye needs a place to rest, and when it's blank, the eye can take a minute and go, okay, let's dive back in and look at some more of the detail. When the whole thing is busy, your eye can't stop on anything and really focus for any length of time. It just keeps going. So if you ever get a headache or feel overwhelmed looking at whether it's a pattern or a piece of art that just keeps going and going, more times than not, that's why your eye has nothing to rest on, even for a second.
And that's why, like, a lot of times, like, you may look at a piece of art and you may not like it. You may not like it. You may not know why.
Yes.
You just may feel like uneasy looking at it, and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna move on. And there may be some problems with the design of it that's working against it. Like, it may be drawing your eye out of the design of it may be drawing your eye away from the subject, or like you just said, it's so busy unintentionally that you don't have a place to rest, and it's the equivalent of sprinting and not getting a break.
Yeah.
I'm good at metaphors.
You are.
I have a metaphor because they're talking about the can you put colored pencil? Can you burn over colored pencil or whatever? So imagine you're doing a sidewalk drawing with chalk, and then you put sand on top of that, and well, let's say that you decided that you want to go back after you put the sand on and do some more chalk drawing, and you can't really, because the sand is going to mess up with chalk and it's not going to work right, and it's going to be a mess. And that's pretty much the same thing, because you're having to, when you burn on top of another medium, you're having to go through that medium. And of course, you already talked about toxicity issues and
messing up your tip.
And then of course, not being able to really burn properly because you're having the interference from that medium.
Yep. Alrighty. I think I'm ready to burn. Does anybody have any ideas? I think I should. Something might look better. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it live, is because just because I think something might look good doesn't mean it always does.
Nothing yet, but
okay,
let's say 30 seconds from now.
Yeah, I need to draw in some of the, so I know. Let's see here.
Lana goes, it sounds like Hieronymus Bosch. Bosch, Bosch's work, aside from it being like well-renowned and classic, I always feel like that it was the equivalent of like, when you're a teenager and you're like sketching on your notebooks, like you say you have all this different stuff going on. That's a Bosch painting to me. Some weird
Well, it makes me
stuff.
think of the 80s phone book where, because everybody doodled on their phone books as they talked on the phone, that the phone company started printing the phone covers with all kinds of doodles. And it was kind of like the first version of Where's Waldo, because you'd look for the little plane and the little guy jumping out of the plane, and you know what I mean.
You're so lucky.
You didn't? Oh yeah, sorry.
It
It was actually really cool.
I didn't grow up with phones. We didn't have indoor plumbing until I was well, no, we never had indoor plumbing where I grew up, like ever.
See, that is sad, right there.
So, hey, that's living in the wild.
I know. You're the wild child, not me.
Whatever. I know that is not a true statement.
Okay, Mugwai.
What?
Mugwai.
Why am I a gremlin?
Not Mugwai. Mowgli. 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 Mowgli.
Am I a gremlin? Am I supposed to start saying to you?
Yeah. I can't get you wet or feed you
Don't
after
feed
midnight.
me after midnight.
Mowgli. Alright, let's burn this sucker. Okay. Do I have my thoughts straight? Probably not. We're going to do this anyway. So now I have the reference.
Sinrose wants to know, what's your opinion on whether we should wear a mask when wood burning?
That is all personal. I do not wear a mask. I burn light enough that I don't tend to have a whole lot of smoke. Sanding, I absolutely wear a mask. I have gotten sick, like sick for months and months because I wasn't wearing a mask on sanding. And the worst one I was actually sanding you, which is poisonous.
Yeah.
Not a
And
smart
it hurt
move.
like hell.
Bright light, bright light.
Ted wanted me to say bright light.
Bright light, bright light. Yeah, so if you're using the Pyro paper, which I don't recommend, if you're using the stick and burn, which I don't recommend, absolutely wear a mask. Have a fan next to you that's flipped backwards so that it's blowing away from you for two reasons. It pulls the smoke away from your face, and it keeps from messing with the temperature of your tip while you're trying to burn. So it is definitely personal. If you have asthma, absolutely. I will say that I burned around my son for... Can you help?
What?
Sorry.
What are you wanting?
I pull my sweater. Sorry.
You just keep hitting me. I'm like, what?
Sorry. Let's see here. I burned around my son from 2005 to 2012, 7 years, and he has severe asthma. And he had 0 issues. So it really depends on the wood, how sensitive you are, as to whether or not... Help if I heat it up the right pin. As to whether or not you wear a mask. That is definitely personal.
Milana wants to know, what's a flip and burn?
What's a flip? Oh, stick and burn. What is a stick and burn? Let's see if I can get to a stick and burn.
A flip and burn is a gymnastics trick where they do a flip and then they say a really rude comment to somebody.
This is stick and burn. I do not recommend it. A lot of gourd artists use it, but you can also use it on flat work. And what it is, and nobody seemed to do research. I've used it once in my gourd video 2 years ago.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. It is pre-printed. You can also get it. With nothing on it, where one side is sticky and the other side has your pattern, and you pull out the backing, stick it to your wood, and you burn through it. The problem is, this is freaking plastic, and they don't tell you that. And the same with the Pyro paper, which I've got, which I don't know where I put it. And you have to burn hot and outline. So, if that's the look you're going for, that's fine. What I tend to do with these, if I want to use some part of it, which now I see a flower that I could have used, is I will scan it, print it out, and transfer it with regular paper. Because these are supposed to be copyright free. You bought the right to use them. And this one is the Nature Scenes patterns. I do know that Mountain Wood Carvers sells some of these, but they are Actually, they feel like they're made of the same thing as the Pyro paper, which I think the Pyro paper is.
Why are you hitting me again?
Because I'm trying to, it's in one of those drawers, I think.
What am I looking
You might
for?
have to dig. It'll say Pyro paper on it, unless I have it in this
Why
cabinet.
do I have to dig? You're so unorganized.
Because I didn't expect it.
Look, is some of this in here, right?
It'll have a wrapping. No, that's graphite paper.
What is this? What does it say?
Yes, graphite paper. No, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like it came in. So, in fact, you can see what I did with my gourd. Because I wanted to add more, I actually drew
Wait, did you already find it?
No, these are all the stick and burns I have.
I'm looking.
I have a lot of stick and burns. And there's cool patterns in there if you want to use them. But I don't recommend burning directly through them. My gourd video, you can see that. Because I did do it. Because I was inexperienced with gourd, still am. But Wellborn Gourd Farm had sent me these patterns. And I was like, let's try it. And there's so much smoke. You have to burn so dark. And everybody was telling me you have to burn dark lines to keep the color in on your gourd. That's not true that I found. It may be that I do it differently. The inks didn't spread for me.
I can't find it.
Okay, I'll have to look for it later. I got to do a review on it anyway. No, it's in one of those two drawers. Or
Yeah,
I moved it somewhere. Anyway, so that's stick and burn. I don't recommend it. Didn't expect to do that. Alright, so I'm on 3 with the 9M. Maybe I need to zoom in a little bit. Ooh, let's take a ride.
Oh, here's all the incense.
Those are my incense for the studio. Alrighty, hopefully that's close enough.
Can I take this half one for the... If you get two, can I take
Those
this?
are different kinds.
Oh,
But yes, you can have that because I should have another Jamaican vanilla.
I'll make sure.
It's fine, huh?
Oh, yeah, you do.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so I have wrinkles down here that, let's go ahead and pop up the black and white.
Sienna says burning on plastic, it must smell horrible.
It
sticks to
does.
the tip.
It did.
Yeah.
It stuck to the tip. Let's see here. What did I do with my drawing?
Yeah, Lana says that she doesn't even think that she can get something like that there.
It's probably for the best, to be honest. I'm sure the companies won't be too happy with me for mentioning that, but I can...
Truth.
I know. I get a lot of people not too happy with me when I tell the truth.
Well, yeah, but the truth is important.
It is.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's get this in here. I'm going to negative burn for now. And
Sienna says pyrography isn't popular in Finland at all. She doesn't know why.
it may...
It's best done in cold winter months.
This is true.
Make it popular, Sienna.
Yep. She
Make
can do
it popular.
She can do it. Make sure on
Force it.
screen.
Force it on Finland.
I think more information, when more information is given about any one thing in particular, and people understand what it is, it becomes more interesting. If people don't know what it is, they don't. Doing demos help. If you're in a location where people don't know what you're talking about, let's see here. So I'm looking at my drawing, or the printout that I drew on, as well as my reference. That way I can pay attention to where I do and don't want to put a burn until I put the grass in. See this line right here in the that's in the wood. It actually lends itself to the piece of grass it's going up into, and since this is a darker leg, I think I'm going to keep that as a negative burn.
So that's another interesting aspect of pyrography that I think.
Using the grain.
Because you end up using aspects of the wood or artifacts of the wood to complement or augment your design.
Oh, I try to.
I don't
stir it up a lot.
I don't normally get that on canvas.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless there's dog hair, which there always is.
Is there?
Yeah. Anybody who gets one of our works of art, one of the paintings, they're gonna get a little bit of our dogs too.
I didn't realize you were having such a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I look and I try. Like, I brush off my canvases and then I paint. And then I go back later.
And Zena's there?
And there's hairs that are embedded in the paint, especially the oil paints for some reason.
Are you sure it's not your brushes?
I don't have any brushes that have, like, 3-inch white hairs. So, yeah, pretty sure.
Alright. So
Lana says that's such a funny tip. I think she's talking about
the 9M. There's actually a smaller one, but for what I'm doing, I like this one better. Yeah. So, gotta go with the wrinkles. It almost makes it look like they're wearing pants. It's actually really cool. It does. I mean, it wrinkles like jeans.
Elephants with pants. That sounds like an '80s band. Like they open for men without hats.
That is really cool. So I will bounce around just to get the layouts down. In general, I don't tend to outline, but because these wrinkles are darker and deeper, I can, and that allows me to get rid of the graphite sooner.
Lana says it's because dog hair is magical and will get everywhere.
Yes.
True that, sister girl. True that.
Yeah, cat hair does the same thing. I'm sure Eve has that issue.
Oh, cat hair is finer too.
Yep.
Cat hair is insidious.
Layla has short
But I can hear Eve saying, "Why wouldn't you want cat hair in your paintings?"
Love you, Eve. Because we do love her. She's awesome. Alrighty, so we got a leg here. So let's get that in there.
Now, the question I asked at the beginning of the stream, when you're hitting the button to go live, and I realized wasn't a good time to ask a question. What was it that we said lately? We were watching something, and we're like, "That's so Eve." Can't remember what it was.
It was a video. What was it?
Yeah, it was a video.
Oh, shit.
It had to do with cats.
Yes.
Go figure.
Was it in a movie or was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, just in a regular
Suffice
video.
it to say, it was something about cats, and we immediately thought of Eve.
I'm trying to think what we've
Oh,
watched.
you were like, doesn't that remind you of Eve? What was it?
Was it Dirty Works? Oh, no. Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live. West Side.
Oh, the
West Side.
The West Side girl.
The West Side
At
girl.
home with my cat.
Hanging with my cat.
Got a blanket and a warm cat. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, Eve, you should watch it. It's Saturday Night Live. It's UES. It's Leslie Smith rap.
Is that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Upper East Side.
Cause she's talking.
And Kate's the West Side girl.
Yep.
Home with a cat.
So technically, it was on YouTube.
Yep.
It was a show.
Yep.
All right. So I'm just trying.
Oh, it's gonna be right, don't you?
You always gotta be jealous about it, don't you? So I'm trying to just tap in because I can always alter something. So I'm just tapping in where these main wrinkles going down into the grass will be. And I didn't lay them all out, so I'm just kind of making it up as I go. Because I lost. Alright, that's the front leg, back leg. Yeah, Eve's got to watch that one. She will like it. So, what we can't tell right now is the fact that I am kind of burning around what'll be the grass. And that's okay. We'll see it more as I develop it.
Eve says that she's accepted the cat hairs everywhere. And Sian says everything is covered in Bunman's hair. Bunman is a bunny.
Yes.
That is also very fine, if not finer. It depends on the rabbit.
Yeah. Alright, so I think for the most part we can go ahead and take. Let's see.
Yeah, she says it's so fine it just floats everywhere.
Okay. So there's some grass that go up this little guy's trunk. So I may actually have to put that one in. And follow this, and I think I can erase some of the graphite. Now this trunk is curving down a little. It's going over to the side, curving down, 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 and looks like it's coming up a little bit. So I do want to mimic that because it's an interesting shape and realistic to the elephants. So I want to try to get that. And I'm just marking out where some of those wrinkles kind of give me that shape. That way, when I erase, I don't lose it.
Gabriel would like to know what heat setting the burner is on.
Right now I'm on 3. If I went slower, it would burn darker. But right now I'm just trying to get some information in. I will go back and darken. A bit of shadow there. The elephants have so many lines and the wrinkles that the more time you take to put them in, the more interesting it becomes because it's closer to what you're actually seeing. Alright, so let's take some graphite away. Not too much because that one I didn't. Probably better if I actually switch pens and do some shading, because even with the 18M I can negative burn some of the sharper lines. So let's do that. Got my stuff all over the place. I still need to clean my studio.
Yours is still more organized than mine is.
Huh?
Yours is still better than mine. Although I did clean it yesterday.
So that you could get in it. Alright. I'm going to
I
turn.
can get in my studio.
I think I'm going to turn. Actually, I'm going to go upside down, which is what I recommend. In burning upside down, I am now off camera. So let's raise it. Let's go for right again.
Ozzy's here.
Hey, Ozzy. Cindy, I'm guessing a woodchuck could burn a lot of wood. Excuse me.
No, she wants to know if a wood burner can burn.
I was wondering how much a would a wood burner burn if a wood burner could burn wood. My brain automatically put woodchuck in. A burner should be able to burn a lot of wood. Alrighty. So, let's see here. I've got... Should I put some of the grass in, or should I work more on the legs?
I just work here.
I know. So I've got. So I can use this tip. Put in, and this is really light. I'm on 3. I'm just using the edge. Let's get some of that in here. I'm going lighter on the grass because I can always darken it. Let's bring some up in the trunk. Let's see here. It's a negative burning that I could probably smooth out a bit. And actually, I think the 17 SR would be a little more comfortable for me. But this is dark. I'm going to put this leg in. I do bounce around a lot because my eye will see something else that needs to be adjusted or what have you, and so I don't forget. I bounce over to that. So let's get this in here. And with the elephant skin, I can go kind of all over the place in the direction, because this will actually give me a bit of a pattern. that the elephants have. I can do the same thing with the ball tip. Now, let's see here. I think I have enough. And because of how dark I went on this end, I know I need to go darker. Now I need to do this. Yes, so we can see a little better. Boom, boom, boom. And that. Alrighty. Now on the 18M, I'm using mainly the tip. I've got the heel pulled up just slightly because there's a curve to this tip that you really can't see, but it's there, and it allows it to burn better. So if you're having issues with the pin not burning as well as you expected, more times than not, it's because it needs to be angled up at the back. Alrighty, we got a trunk laid down. There we go. The trunk is laid down, so it'll be a matter of building up. And since it's curving, this side is darker. So the grass shade up a little bit. It is going to require a lot more heat for me to darken once I've burned an area at a lighter, because I've already damaged the wood. If I want something really dark off the bat, I need to go in darker. There we go. Let's see here. More of that leg showing. So let's pull it
What
out.
temperature are you on again?
Right now I'm on 3.
And it's not producing any heat on the, like, is that comfortable?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Don't even know it's on.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm touching the wood.
Okay.
Alright. So
I'm sure if it was warmer, you'd be fine. You know, they say if you can't stand the heat, then just
turn off your burner.
Then just turn the heat down until it's more comfortable for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright. This elephant's starting to have a trunk. It has been interesting to watch the elephants come alive for me.
Mm-hmm. What is this, like Night at the Museum in here?
A bit.
I won't make the elephant noise.
No. Headphones don't like it. Alright, so this side is lighter. And I did erase that graphite, so I need to be careful. Because this is a lighter side, because, oh yeah, I decided we're going to do morning light. This side will be lighter. So let's get that in there. This side will be darker, especially when it's curving. I hope I'm not confusing anybody, especially since the wood is upside down and my reference is not.
I just assumed that you redid everything and you somehow managed to do the whole thing again to that point.
I'm going to bump up to 4. Let's see here. Actually, what?
My Ted's talking about modern English, and he says it's also the band that sings the song that I use for my ringtone. You don't know what I use for my ringtone.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's Admiral Akbar.
Yep. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this small ball tip. And I'm using the small ball tip because I've got a smaller area. It's kind of the same like with a paintbrush. You really don't want to paint a large area with a small brush. And it's harder, though doable, depending on the brush, to paint a small area with a big brush. Alrighty. So and the reason I'm using this ball tip is I can pull out the wrinkles as I'm going along the edge. And this is going to be darker. Okay, let's just go dark. Let's get that leg in. And because this is on the left side, underneath the elephant and next to this one, it is going to be dark. The light isn't going to be bouncing on this side. Let's see here. Let's put that in there, and then this part was kind of harder to see on the reference. I can go smoother up here. You're not going to see detail. Alright, get the shape down. And then next to this elephant is dark because the head is underneath the trunk. So, and this will also help me to shape this big guys or girls. I think it's a guy. Who knows? That could be mom. Or this could be mom. And that's teenager. That's teenager and that's baby. I don't know. Alright. So by putting in this dark, I'm trying to shape let's flip it around and see how much it is now shaped this side of our trunk. And now I'm going to have to move you guys again. Whee! I guess I can go lower. See, it's brighter on screen than it is. Then we get the glare from that side.
Senra says that still confused or lost about where to put shadows in.
Looking at your reference photo, I'm changing it up. You do not have to change it up. Let's see here. I'm going to grab my black and white. You do not have to change your photo. So if you chose to do this photo, you would keep it the way it is, and you can see where your shadows are. Because this photo is taken with the sun, I'm going to have to back out, aren't I? I am. To back out. Whee! Kind of. Woo! Alright. So the sun, I can tell by how it's hitting the trees in the background. The sun is overhead. What?
Suns are not your strong point.
Well, I'm trying to... I can't draw a sun. Okay, so I can tell by looking at where my shadows are hitting. It's hitting at the top with heavy shadows underneath, and it's going the full gambit of the top of that fluffy part, the leaves. The same goes here. The sun is beating directly down on this elephant, so all the parts, the ridges, are showing the sun hitting from the top. Now, if the sun was coming from this direction over here, the shading would shift, the lighting would shift as to what is getting hit. So we would see maybe less on these ridges here, and it would only hit the high parts of what we're looking at. The light hits the planes, it hits the higher planes. So with the light coming down this way, it actually would be a little darker here. It would change what we see. And now if you feel uncomfortable, lighting has its whole thing all to itself because it does so much to our subjects. So let's see here. This would be darker. I'm having to think about where I've changed the sun direction. So it changes how it casts, but it also makes a picture more dynamic and interesting than overhead light, because you get these darks and whatnot. So what I need to do, because I've changed the direction of the light that's hitting on this plane, I have to go and darken, and I can do it on my reference photo in Photoshop. I can do it here the way I'm doing it now. But in darkening these areas, it gives it a different mood. It'll feel more like maybe these guys are waking up and heading out for breakfast. It'll also change how...
So like to Denny's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is if the African elephants have that version. It changes how, even though this is the exact same elephant, it changes how it looks. Let's see here. Because of the light. But I think in changing it, I think I can make it feel a little more dynamic, a little more interesting. Now, light will bounce off of one subject onto another, and it will mute it, it will change it. But in this particular case, and in fact, the grass will actually bounce some of the light up as well. And that's where you get your cast shadows. If right now, to be honest, if you are feeling a little lost on light, it's probably better to just find a photo on like Pixabay that you really like and burn what you see, transfer what you see until things feel a little more comfortable for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Light can get very confusing.
It really can, because there's so many different aspects to it, and
I'm definitely not hitting all of them.
And it requires a lot of observation, and it's going to depend on what you're looking at too.
Yeah, in fact, take a glass of water, and put it on your table or chair or sidewalk outside, and go out every half an hour for 2 hours, and watch how that subject, your glass of water, changes, how it looks differently every time the light moves.
See, and that's what some artists have done, like I'm blanking on his name right now, but he did a lot of floral paintings. It might have been Monet. Anyway.
Well, he painted outside.
Yeah, but that was one of the things that he was good at, and there was another artist. It might have been the same artist. I'm forgetting a lot of my art history, but anyway, painted the same haystack for a year in different lighting conditions. Just did that for a year,
and it probably looked different each time.
Each time it looked different,
and people thought it was a new haystack.
But that's all he did. It was just he was studying light, and that's, I wouldn't do that,
No.
But
you see, now just in me darkening some areas and changing my light a little bit, I feel it's gotten more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to go back in my burning and change some things. Now that's going to change how the wrinkles look, especially where they're more defined and indented, because they're going to cast the light differently. And I'm just going to have to figure out how dark, like some of this, because I've changed the light, is going to get even darker. So I'm going to have to pay attention. But if somebody new to art of any kind, including pyrography, to be honest, I think it's better to practice burning what you see first. And the more that you do that, the more you'll start seeing things differently. Because like when we drive to Phoenix, I will sit there and stare at the mountains. And for my doctor's appointments, they tend to be about the same time. But not always. But coming home, the light is completely different than when we're going down. And so I pay attention to how the mountains look as we're coming back down. And maybe I should take some photos and try to get the same angle from 2 different parts of the day. That way we can see the difference. I gotta figure out, we could do that from the rest stop, couldn't we? Yeah, I'll do that. I will take a picture. We go down in February. I'll take a picture and we'll make sure to stop at the same exact place at a different time. And I'll take a picture of the same location and then you'll be able to see the difference. Alright, so these are going to have the shadows a little different.
It was Monet. Claude Monet.
Okay.
Yeah. Philip is here.
Hey, Philip.
He had some bad news.
Oh no, what?
We'll re-chat.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, Philip. I wish I could say or do something to help. That is never easy.
No.
Philip has lost a good friend from surgery. That's so sad. I'm so sorry. And I don't mind that you posted it here. There's things that happen to us that we just need to get out and try to make sense of it.
We're all family here.
Yep.
Toasties.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you trusting us. Alright, so that is what I'm looking at for my light. Yeah, I wish I could do something for him. This will be darker. But then I have more dynamic darks, which is what I want. Let's see here. Oh, actually, you've got the photo popped up, though. It's darker. But in changing, look, I have this nice light ridge coming out. And the wrinkles look a bit different and more pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to look at the camera and do this. Because then I can adjust. Like I said, light is going to reflect off of other objects nearby. There were other elephants that I removed from this photo. And not every line here is going to be heavy or as heavy as the other ones. Let's see here. That's also going to change my ridges a little bit.
And that all comes down to decisions that we make as artists.
Yes.
To try and establish a feeling.
I don't have to do those. I could just use the photo the exact way I see it. So if you have to do that, do not feel bad about it. I say go for it. But as you burn more, you'll get more comfortable with altering your photo for a look that you're going for. But note to self, if you're just Googling photos and you do this, it does not take it out of copyright, does not make it copyright free. Pixabay and the other sites that I think I've got listed in the group are your best bet to copyright free photos. There is no 30%, 70% change in your reference to make it yours to use.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt I need to say that. I know I've got some new people.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's important, because a lot of times people say that. That's like urban legend.
It is. I fell for it. I'll be honest.
If you change 13 things, you can use it.
No.
You'll hear stuff like that. But I think it stings for us because we've both had our art stolen.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yep. I had to contact and have it pulled off and okay. So this head is darker because it's underneath this back leg, which will be getting light, but not necessarily the full amount. All right.
Ted says he was one of the elephants stuck on the sideline after teams were picked. He didn't make the cut.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just, I didn't want an elephant butt only. On that side. Alright. So my pin's been on the whole time.
Turner, you're cut.
I'm on 4. So I've changed my, let's see here. Well, we see what this looks like now. I'm wondering if I should just go in and darken up.
Well, just to remind you, we're at 12:12 right now.
Oh, okay. So I know based on what I've done, the underside here is darker. Because I've changed that light, I'm going to have to go back. And see, that's why sometimes it's better that once you have your pattern, if you could do this ahead of time, you don't have to go back and fix. But I knew I was going to have to darken. So I'm going to start. Remember, the slower I go, the darker it'll be. The quicker I go, the lighter it'll be. Regardless of the setting I'm on.
Are you still on 3?
I'm on 4. Because I know I'm going to have some darks that I need to build up. And it's going to require more heat.
Yes, Ted, that was what I was going for. Is it Simpsons reference?
Alright, so let's get this side darker. And this way, when I go to put the background in, when I go lighter and blurrier in the back, it'll help make my elephants stand out further. And since they're the main subject.
So Senrose is asking, so someone really good could use a Pixabay picture.
Anybody can use one.
And then sell it.
Anybody can use it.
Yes, because that's what those are. Those photos are there for...
They're for Creative Commons use, which means copyright free. Some places will have a limited, what you'll see, Creative Commons use, and that means you can use it for personal use and not for industrial or commercial use. But Pixabay, I have not seen anything other than free common use, which means you can use it in videos. You can use them as stock images for advertisements. You can use them for your burnings without altering them in any way.
Photographers, I think they post their work on there.
Yes.
Like to share stuff, but also, I think, to get their name out. And if
I appreciate that they do it.
If if you're a photographer and you want to see, you take great pictures and you want people to use it, then that benefits you because then say somebody does use your photo, and then you can kind of reference back to that and say, hey, yeah, this piece of art, you're not going to get any monetary compensation from it, but reputation, sure.
I have this photo actually linked down in the description. If you want to also use this photo, it's a beautiful photo. I'm just changing it for my needs with the lighting. The photo itself is a beautiful photo. There was a certain feeling I was going for, so that's why I changed it. Alright, 18M on 4. And I really need to go much darker.
And what's the 18M for people like me?
Spear shader.
Spear shader.
And then bump it up to 5 so I can just go. I'm trying to smooth out, and I can pull this shadowing. So I guess I should change the title of this to Backgrounds and Lighting.
Well, we always deviate from our...
I know.
Because people have questions, and that's the point. Because
yes.
Like if you're the kind of YouTuber that people were like, oh, this is interesting, but what about this? And you're like, no, that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I can't do that.
That would be bad,
I understand why some of them do it, though, because especially on replay, it can be a little harder to watch. So I get that.
But I think that the benefit for the lives, at least for me, or at least my perceived benefit that I see, is it's your community gets to interact with you directly and ask those questions, and they don't have to hold off and wait So it's a teaching experience that's very interactive. So if you wanted to watch a video and not get any interaction, you could just watch videos on replay.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, if anybody will be in Mesa in March, I will be there. Oh, I touched down. I lifted and touched down. So now I have to go darker. But you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it just pushes me to go darker when I'm nervous in doing it. And yes, I get nervous all the time. But what's the worst that's going to happen? I screw it up and have to fix it.
So
no big deal.
Again, luckily for me, I never do that.
You can paint over your screw-ups.
Well, I screw up. Actually, there's my paint's so thick.
Your paint's so thick it's a Monet?
Yeah, because
Monet-esque?
of so many layers of screw-ups.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's a great episode of Malcolm in the Middle, where Hal decides he's going to be a painter because he's had this piece of art in his head his whole life, and he had so many layers, and he's like frustrated, and everybody's like trying to talk him out of it because he's just gone mental, and he finally gets frustrated while they're all in the garage, and he throws some paint on there, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's amazing!" And he's like, "There it is. That's what it's been in my head my whole life, but it's so thick, it just all the paint just falls off the canvas." So,
all right, so let's darken.
That's where I'm at.
I know you're feeling stuck.
No, I'm actually getting better now.
Are you?
Yeah, I feel like that wolf. Like I have another. I can't talk. I need to add some gold on the wolf to reflect the lighting that I added.
So that's why your studio door was locked, so I couldn't come in.
Not locked.
I'm teasing.
Let's go back to what you said about Mesa, because you never finished that thought.
Oh, because that always happens. Mesa, the weekend of Irish Day, March 16th and 17th, we will be down at the Arizona Woodcarver Show. I still need to talk to Pam about sharing her table for demos for the Optima, but I will also have artwork in the competition and hopefully including this one. We'll see how it does. So, I would love to see everybody. I'd love to see everybody. But if you can
it might be a trip for some people.
I know.
Like, say, if you live in Finland or Great Britain or Canada.
I know, but I'd love to meet everybody. I mean, it's awesome that YouTube and Facebook in this way has brought so many people together.
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet them face to face. I tried to get Pat down here, but he's so busy.
Yep.
So just so you know, it is darker than what you're seeing on the screen. And actually, I'm liking it better. What do you think?
I always say the same thing, because Valarie looks at the work, and then she takes a picture of it, and she's like, "Oh, it looks better on camera." And I'm like, it looks the same to me. You have that thing where you're the artist thing where you're looking at your work and it doesn't look right to you.
Because lighting hits it different.
Because you're used to seeing it. You're used to seeing it in that context, and you see every line, whereas when you see it in a reproduction, you're not seeing it in the same way anymore. You're seeing it objectively, like somebody else would see it, or more objectively anyway.
Let's see. Let's get some grass in here. So when I talk about blurry grass, I would just go back and forth. And in this case, because this is a short grain cut, I'm going with the grain. And I'll let the grain help me to give me a bit of pattern. There's nothing wrong with help. Alright, so we got some of that in. Let's take some pencil off, because I've got a shape here now.
So, Missy should be here too. She'll probably mod. We can
do that again.
Yeah, people liked it when she was here.
They did?
Yeah.
They like it. Alright, so there we go.
So that means that we can have a couple of streams where we're working together.
Well, we've done that though since.
Yeah,
yes. You'll have to figure out what you want to learn. Alright, so I know I've got a dark on the left, and I don't want to go that dark for the grass. I can come back to it, and as I darken the right side of this, because of the light, and the change in light, it's actually going to lighten up the side that is receiving the light without me having to do too much. But based on the shadow here, I don't want to overpower it with the grass. So I'm just going to kind of blend it a little bit. But then, because of this, because of the lighting I have for you guys, I do have to pull it up and look at it differently. So let's flip it back. I'm liking the contrast in this much better. I need to kind of curve it a little bit underneath, but that wrinkle is looking awesome. And working more with that, I like that.
You have a personal message from Beryl, by the way.
Oh, okay. She knows I'm live. Damn
She's
woman drinking margaritas and eating tacos.
And eating tacos.
Sending me photos of the margaritas. But she's been smart and not sent me a photo of tacos.
That would be bad for everybody.
Ooh. Almost make me want to go to Canada when she gets it back.
There's no tacos there.
That's why she had to go to Mexico. Good tacos. Taco Bell does not count.
Oh, you knew what I was going to say.
No, Taco Bell does not count.
Like, well, we can always run down to Taco Bell.
You know what happens with that.
I have occasionally
you have to
tried
sneak it.
to prank Val and say that, well, I couldn't get to the other taco place, so I just stopped by Taco Bell.
But you're a smart man. You know better.
I know that she wouldn't let me in the house, so. Troy suggested that we go get Taco Bell and then go get your regular food.
I remember.
And then put your Mexican food in the Taco Bell bag.
Sure, you don't contaminate
mine. Just to
mine.
see what would happen. But I didn't want to do that because that's like
I can smell
that's
the
like
difference.
saying like, hey, let's not turn on the cooling rods in the nuclear reactor. That might be fun. You know what? Let's not do that.
It's not and say we did. Yeah, I can smell the difference. So, alright, let's get some of this graphite off. Okay, so I've gone, what do I want? I feel like I need to change your tip. I don't know where my heat. Because I was up to 5. Alright, so on the grass, I need to go darker to make this side pop out more. I don't want to go too dark because I don't want to lose. For one, the grass wouldn't be as dark as the underneath of the elephant.
Ted says he can't drink margaritas. He's allergic to tequila.
Oh,
Every
I'm
time
sorry.
he drinks it, he breaks out in handcuffs.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Alright, so here I'm just kind of, because I've lowered my heat, I'm just kind of skipping around.
Lana just, I was looking, I read the comment earlier, but I didn't quite register. Lana says Unsplash
Yes,
is a royalty-free setup.
Yes.
I never heard of that.
I've mentioned it. I've used it. In fact, I think the Dancing with the Ravens, if I remember right, I think she comes from Unsplashed.
Huh. Okay. Unsplash.
But you have to be a little more careful with Unsplashed. I don't know that they're necessarily as moderated to ensure that people aren't stealing photos from the internet and posting it as their own.
You know, I have seen that on
Yeah, you gotta.
PMP.
Yes, and that's why I'm not using Paint My Photo anymore, because they changed some of the rules, understandably. But in order to use them on YouTube now or in videos, you have to get permission from the photographer, and I don't have time for that.
Yeah, because on PMP, I remember there was one more than one that I remember seeing, like, oh, this is a nice picture, and then like I click on it and it links to stockphoto.com,
Yep.
which requires a fee, and
it's like, that's not a free photo, why it's
No.
on here? Alright. So yeah, I don't really, unless I'm desperate, I don't.
well, I've never had that problem on Pixabay though.
No. Nope. Still might not be a bad idea to check your references, but
Well, and that's one of the reasons, like, when we go to Arizona, where you take so many photos, thousands of photos, because, you know,
they're mine.
yeah, there's no question of whether or not that it's royalty free or not, because it belongs to you.
So let's put some grass in here. So this is the ball tip on 3.5. I'm just kind of stumbling around. Trying to give it a little bit of a feel so that it's not just directly up and down, but I can use the grain, which is going to look a little different, of course, on the wood, because we are dealing with the grain than it does on the piece of paper. But in all honesty, I'm actually liking this better. So I'm just moving back and forth. You guys can't really see because it's light. Let's see here. There's a little bit more. So we'll get that in there. And I know from my practice, so to speak, that it comes down just above his back knee. And I'm going to go back and darken it, but I'm liking how moving the tip in this way is giving it a more grassy feel and not keeping it completely smooth, but I am going to have to darken it, like over here a bit. Some of this is going to be hit by that morning light, so it's actually okay if this is a little lighter, but based on this right here, that needs to be darker. Bump it up.
What did you bump it up to?
4.5.
Okay.
But I'm still moving quickly, so it's going to keep it light. But this allows me to slow down if I want to and go darker. Really connecting with your pens makes all the difference in the world. If you love the craft burner and have zero problems with it, that is awesome. That means it's you guys have connected.
Cineros has to go.
Bye,
Has to
Cindy.
go play Old Maid. Lana has to go.
Bye, Lana.
Has to go to bed. Have a great stream.
Nighty night.
We are at 12:29 right now.
Are we?
Yeah.
Alright.
Should,
Well, let's see if there's any final questions. This part will be darker. I'll continue to work on this. And because I've been working on this, I got the other video done. But I want to clone myself just for video editing. How awesome would that be? All I did was my clone sit in here and edit video the way I want it edited. And that way I can do all my other stuff.
there's the beginning of a horror movie there.
You think?
Yeah. Sorry.
You think that my cloned me would take over my YouTube channel?
Yeah. I think your clone you would have issues.
As long as you
Might
did
be
it the way I
She
want
might
it.
be stubborn and confrontational.
Who are you talking about?
See?
Don't know who you're talking. Alright, let's back it up so we can see it better. There we go. I'm actually not hating this piece. Hey, that's a big deal.
You're like the Simon Cowell of yourself.
You think you're...
What do you think of your work, Valarie? It's terrible. Absolutely repulsive.
I'm not hating
And then you're
it.
like, oh, I'm not hating this. It's like, oh, wow, that's such a compliment.
So, just so you can see it darker, there you go. It is darker. It's got some really interesting grain that I still need to burn over. So hopefully I have gotten everything. And don't forget, you are awesome. You can do this because you are a pyro artist.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.